Hello, I've got the first issue of Crafter's Inspiration magazine with me today. It's just been delivered, so I'm going to give you a quick flick through the magazine, show you the beautiful free gifts that come along with it, and then I'm going to show you some footage that I took whenever I was making my cards for this issue, and I hope you enjoy it. So this is the magazine, and it comes in this little box as well, and you've got the magazine, stencils, an embossing folder, stamps and a little die set. So first of all, I'll have a very quick look at this stencil. So this one has some script in the background and then some beautiful roses. It's a really lovely vintage effect. And this one then is a set of 3 layering stencils, and I've used all of these. I think I didn't use this background one, but I used the front two in one of my cards as well. And then this really beautiful embossing folder here, and I've used that as well, but it's a lovely deep emboss on it with a beautiful floral pattern. Then we have some gorgeous stamps and a really lovely little die. So this one says "Just for you," and I think that's a really fab free gift for any magazine. Now this is from Crafter's Companion, as you can see, and the papers inside are really pretty. So there they are, right in the centre there, and they're very good quality as well. But you'll get doubles of each of them, and they're a sort of vintage feel to them, a shabby chic kind of thing, but really pretty colours, and they work really fantastically well with those stamps and stencils and the embossing folder. So I'll have a very quick look through this here. There's one of my cards there, and then you can I don't want to spoil all of the fun when you get your own magazine. There you are. Aren't they so pretty? And it's always lovely, I'm sure you're tired listening to me saying this, but it is always lovely to see what other people have done with the same supplies whenever we're all making these. Very beautiful cards there. Twist and shout. Lovely. And then I'll move on here, just a very quick flick. I really love those colours, and as you know, I love florals, so this was a real pleasure to make these ones. And I was making aperture cards, so some of them have the heat resistant acetate and some of them are just with the aperture through. So you can see there that this is a little shaker card, a circle one, and this one has a little fold over. This actually folds flat for postage as well, and that's on acetate there, and then a little oval one, and I've used the embossing folder for the background there and cut the aperture through that, and I really enjoyed that, and a little bit of embossing on there as well. And there's someone who's used different colours on it, and very nice. So there we are. That's a catch up with Sarah, who's always a very busy lady. Oh, isn't that lovely with the twine across it? I always love twine on a card as well. A few more cards there. And there, a day at HSN. Meet the team. Perfect petals. There we are. So I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you enjoy the next bit of the video as well. Thank you. I've been so busy working away at these cards that I actually forgot that I meant to video as I was doing them and record how I was making them, but anyhow, all the instructions will be there step by step in the magazine, because I'll be writing all those to put there as well. But I've got 3 of them done. This one's almost finished. I just have got to put the sentiment on, and I thought I'd give you a quick look through these and then maybe record the next 2, because I have 5 to make in total. So this is a 5x7 card, and I've added some grey, a grey mat on behind there, and then a layer of patterned paper. Now unfortunately I can't show you this intact, but it's one of these sheets, and I think it was this one. And what I've done is I've put the stencil on top of that, and I have inked through it with some, this stencil, and I've inked through it with some clear mark embossing ink, and then I've used embossing powder over the top of it, and you can see it there. Hopefully you'll be able to get the shine there, but it's made just a lovely little extra layer onto the patterned paper as it was, because the paper was beautiful just the way it was, but that's just added something extra onto it. Then I die cut the circle the whole way through this. I've layered those up obviously first of all, and then I've die cut a circle right through that and the grey layer and the front of the card, and the piece that then came out of that was in 3 layers, and I've taken the grey one and the white piece off, and I can use those for something else. In fact, I've actually used one of them for one of the other cards there, but I've put this layer just in behind and just made sure I had it right in behind where the circle aperture was here, and I've glued that on. And then I've taken a bigger layering circle die, and I've cut through some of the heat resistant acetate, and I've just backed it on there, and you can see how neatly that goes if you just make sure you've centered it properly. I have fussy cut some of those beautiful flowers from the pad here and just glued them on over the top, and if you're very careful with the glue you'll not see it from in behind there, and it looks really, really lovely. And then I added a little gem on here and here. I like to add those on in odd numbers if possible, so I've got 1, 2 and 3 kind of randomly on there. And I want to add a sentiment. I've added this little butterfly just on here because it adds a little bit of interest at the top of this, and it also means this one isn't so plain when you open it. So you can write down here if you like, or you can do that on the back. And I'll come back and finish that one afterwards. I wanted to just be sure which sentiments I was using for the other cards before I do that one, because it's going to go up here. So my second card then is a 6x6, and you can see here how I've done that. Hopefully you'll be able to see it anyway. First of all, what I did was I layered a piece of the grey card onto the white card, and I took an aperture out of that, so I think that's 3 centimeters in from the outside the whole way around, and you can see in there how that has turned out. I have cut the aperture out of this one on 3 sides. This is a little border stuck over the top so you can't actually see, but it's straight across underneath that. And when I just came down to the top of the flowers and left a little border, a little edge around the outside, and then cut around there, fussy cut actually, with a craft knife just to get that lovely shape there. And then when I did that, I glued all that together with this lovely border which I fussy cut from the paper pad across the top here. Now in behind then I have a piece of acetate, and that's the heat resistant acetate, and you can see there that I have stamped that with the clear mark ink again and then embossed that in pink, and it turned out really beautiful. But I didn't want that just looking straight onto the inside of the card, and I didn't actually want to put something tight up against it there. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of beautiful patterned paper, and I did move it around a little bit just to make sure I'm getting this in the right place so that it shows off really nicely. And I glued that. It's cut slightly smaller, you can just see that there, but slightly smaller than the inside of the card, but I've also made it shorter again there, so it's about 1 centimeter shorter at the bottom, and that way, because this is a top fold card, that way whenever it stands upright like this, then this piece of paper here isn't sort of hitting the bottom, because if that was actually the same length as the card, that would fold over and buckle a bit. So that has turned out really beautifully, and again I've added a couple of little gems on there as well. For the third one then, I've taken a set of layering circle dies, and the largest one is 14 centimeters I think, so all of the details will be in the magazine anyway. And I've taken 2 of those, and on the second one, for the back, I've just scored that, I'll turn it over this way, at 1 centimeter across here, and then I've only glued that on by that centimeter, so you can see then that that has made the top fold card. And you'll also notice that exactly parallel to that, I have actually cut off just a little sliver of the card, and I'll show you why. If I was to stand this card up and it didn't have that sliver cut off it, when I would stand that like this, it would just rock back and forwards, but with this little bit removed here, it holds it steady, so that's turned out just the way I expected. Now on top of that then, I've got a layer of the grey card again, and then this beautiful patterned paper. So I used the layering circle dies again. In fact, I had saved the piece that was in behind here, if you remember from this card, and I cut a smaller circle out of the centre and made this frame. I also took some of the acetate and glued that onto the back of it, and then you can see just about in there a row of three-dimensional foam pads, and I've put those really tightly to each other the whole way around in here on the other side of that acetate. And then before I put this down, then I sprinkled some of these sequins, these water lily pink sequins, into the centre there, and just kept them right in the centre, and took the backing off this and popped it down over the top. And then I've used the little die that says "Just for You," and there it is. Cut it out in white to match here and here, and glued that on top of that, just very carefully adding the glue so that it didn't go over the acetate where you would see it. And then I fussy cut a little butterfly, and I've glued this part, and then I've added 3D foam pads on in behind here. You possibly can see them there, and that's just to bring this up to the level of here. And to tie all that together, then I added a little sequin on there that matches. So now I'm just going to get on with my fourth card, and hopefully I'll remember actually to video that as I'm making it. So I'm going to use these two stencils together, and I'm doing this one first of all, and I don't want the whole stencil to be on my background, so I've actually put a piece of dark card in behind this because I don't want this leaf on, and I use dark card so that I can see that it doesn't come out into these areas here. And I'm just going to first of all ink with this green, not this one, yes, this one. So I'm going to ink with that first of all, and then I'll put this the other stencil over the top and come in with the pink. So I've trimmed that off there, and I've left this little piece measuring 10.5 by 10.5. It's just slightly smaller than 10.5 by 10.5 centimeters. And the card base this time is a piece of A4 white card, and I've just folded that in half, scored it and folded it in half to keep that nice and neat. I've taken a piece of Bally pink card this time, and this measures 14.5 centimeters by 20.5. So this piece of paper then is 14 by 20, and I really love that. It's just such a beautiful pastel shade and beautiful flowers on it, and I spend most of my life surrounded by flowers, and this is really appeals to me, this one. So I didn't know whether to do it this way or this way, but you know, you just can't have too many flowers. So we will glue this on and glue it onto the card front. Now this time I would like this piece to be inside a little tunnel. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of white card, and I'll just show you the measurements here. It is 15 centimeters wide, and it is, where are we? Just over 11, so it's 15. So this time I wanted this to be inside a little tunnel, and I've taken a piece of card which is 15 centimeters wide by 11 centimeters high, and I've scored that in at 1 centimeter and 2 on each side, so I can actually fold that over and over again and create this little shape. But while it's been flat, then I have die cut a circle aperture out of that, and the circle aperture is 9.5 centimeters in diameter. So what I want to do is actually glue both of these pieces and put them on here, and then I will slide this piece down in the center. Now whenever I put this on, obviously I want the distance to be the same on each side here, but whenever this folds flat then I still need enough room so that it comes out like this, and you want to get that just sitting perfectly flat because it will then fit in an envelope when it's folded down like that. So the easiest way to do that then is to put a little mark at 2 centimeters down here, and then it's going to be 5 centimeters from the top and the bottom. So I have put a tiny little mark there as well. Now you won't see it, but it's there as a little guide for me. And I'm going to put glue on this part just at the minute. So right down there. And then I'll butt that up to the 5 centimeter line here. So I know it's going to be in the centre, and keep it right up against those 2 marks that I've put there for the 2 centimeter line. And you don't need to worry about this part at the moment, just get that on and make sure that that's nice and straight and that it's attached properly. And then you don't need to actually worry about getting this one in and sitting up properly on this way, because what you do is you'll just add glue on here, and then while that's flat you can push it down and hold that, and that's it in place there. And then that will pop up and sit as a little tunnel part there, and you can see the dimension on that. Now I just want to slip this piece down inside here, and that will be that piece ready. So I'm going to add some glue on the back of that. I've cut the sentiment out of the paper pad as well there, out of the paper pack, and I used my guillotine just to make sure I got those edges really straight, and that is going on there. And I want to add a little butterfly on here, but the butterfly is paper and this is card, so just to make sure that they are compatible and that the butterfly stays in place, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue onto that, glue this onto some white card, and then I'll fussy cut around that and add it on here, and that way I know that it's going to stay in place and still be nice and strong. And a few little sequins then to finish, just a couple dotted here and there, and I do like one on the butterfly. You know, I really like that butterfly on there, and the card's big, so I decided just to put the big butterfly on at the bottom there too, and add a sequin on that one, and that just finishes that off beautifully. Well, I'm back again with my 5th card this time, and this is the first, I'm actually not sure what date it is, but it's the first day or two of August, and it was really hot, and it was very hard to carry on with this, so I've left it until evening time, and it's a little bit cooler now. And I wanted to make an oval shaped card this time, so I've actually just taken a little card blank here, and I've placed an oval die on it, and I made sure that the top of it was right up over the top fold so that it left this hinged part, and that means I've got an oval shaped card. Now I wanted this aperture as well, so I have taken the next size down and I have cut an oval from that as well, a scalloped one this time, of pink card. This was all intact, so I'll just put it back together again and show you. So I've cut a piece of pink card, but I wanted the aperture through this and through the embossed card. So how I did that without flattening this is the next couple of steps. So first of all, I cut the pink oval, and then I placed the pink oval without the so first of all then, once I had cut the pink oval, I placed it on top, if you can think of this all intact, placed it on top of this one, opened this out, and ran it through the die cutting machine, just taped it on there and didn't glue it down, and that way it gave me this piece, not embossed of course, and this piece separately, and an aperture here. Then I was able to put this back together again inside my embossing folder and run it through my tangerine, and I used the white plate and the raspberry plate for that. And now I've got two pieces of embossed card, but this isn't flattened. If I had done that the other way around, this would have been, the detail would have been lost in that, and I didn't want that to happen. So now I'm going to glue that on there, and this one will get glued on directly in behind so that it's just in here. Are. Now that will rock back and forwards, but as I did on the other card, I'm just going to take a little sliver off that, and then that will be flat and won't rock about. Now, I really do love these roses, and I want to add them on here, but because there's nothing behind this aperture, I'll need to strengthen that paper just a little bit. So I'll do exactly the same as what I did on one of the previous cards. I'm going to glue these onto the card, and then I'll just fussy cut around them. And if I hold that up to the light, I can get a good idea of where I need to go with the glue. And then just pop it onto the paper and onto the card, sorry, and cut it out. So I've just stamped thank you with black ink onto white card, and I'll fussy cut around that, and then I'll be able to glue that, the flower onto the bottom there, the spray, and then the thank you up at the top. Well, that was a change of mind just at the last moment there, because I was going to put the thank you up at the top, but I actually thought it looked really nice down there. And that's that one. So all I've got to do now is get a sentiment onto this one. I'm going to put the happy birthday onto the top of this one, and that's them all finished. So this is the morning after, and this is what I actually normally do. I finish the cards to a certain degree. Most of them would be almost finished, and then I just leave them sitting for a while, and I'll come back and look at them and see if there's anything else I need to add or do just to finish them off. So I've added the happy birthday sentiment onto that one. That's probably my favourite card of the lot. I think it turned out really well because I love this embossing on the top of it there, and just the way this is on the inside here. So that would be my favourite one, although I do love them all because the papers and everything are just so beautiful. So that's that one, and then we have the shaker one, which I didn't do anything else to. I thought that actually just turned out really well the way it is. I'm happy with that one. And this one, yeah, that one's fine as well. No adjustments to that one. This little one then, I see there, a few little sequins on top of that to finish that off, and that looks so pretty. It didn't actually need an awful lot, but we've just got the little embossed element inside and here, and that embossed detail just really makes that pop. And for this one then, I really loved the way this white popped out from that, and I thought it looked beautiful, but after a while when I left it sitting, I thought it actually looked quite bare. So I went back again, and a really simple solution to that was to cut a 4 cm square of this patterned card and then cut it diagonally into triangles, and I've just glued the others on, and I'm just going to do the same here, just down in these corners, and that made all the difference to that one. And although, as I say, I loved that the way it was initially, the more I looked at it I thought it actually just needed a little something. So that's them all. I'm going to just add my details onto the back of them, pop them in the post, and hopefully they'll turn out really nice whenever they're in the magazine, and I'll come back then and show you through the magazine and show you these in there. Bye bye in the meantime.